So today we're talking about how to set up for the laundry. When I first come in, I always like to open the back door. If this is being closed up, it kind of lets it breathe a little bit and the kids don't object too much about the smell. Then I have my 2 tubs set up. I put my washboard in the wash tub. I have my 2 pieces of soap for actually washing the socks. One very important thing is to make sure this is tilted down. So when you go through the wringer, the soapy water actually comes back into the wash tub. That's very important. Then what I do is I bring out the soap. This is my soap I'm going to use for shaving into the wash tub. I keep this up here well out of the way of students so they can't go up and reach it. And as I mentioned, I have my other 2 soaps here ready to wash the socks. Now what I like to do is to actually, especially for the first round, count how many students we're going to have and put that number of socks, maybe a few more extra, into the clothes basket so it looks like they're actually dirty. So now as I look around, I see my tubs are ready. This is leaning back into the wash tub. I have some fresh towels out. I would probably have one around my waist for an apron. So now that we have the shed set up, now we have to get water. There should be water sitting right by the dry sink. If that has already been used, make sure you go out to the pump and get another bucket of water. We need it in 2 areas to do laundry. One is I'm going to put some in this blue kettle, and I don't need a lot, maybe about a half or a third. I'll put that in. And what I want to do with that is to get that onto the stove. I'm going to have that heated up so when I do the program, the students can actually see me add hot water to the wash. Then I need to fill my tubs, so I'm going to take the bucket of water now with me into the shed. I'm going to put a bit just to cover the bottom on both sides. It's critical not to put a lot in. These tubs get heavy, and as you add water throughout the program, they're going to get very full and very difficult to empty at the end of the day. So make sure also before the program you bring out your bucket and your carrying stick to make sure it's ready when the children come. Then you just stay here and wait for the children to come up the hill. So once you get set up, please come into the kitchen and check with the cooking person. They may need assistance. They may be going up to the Sunday school, and you may want to stay here and help them get utensils out, tend their fire, and anything else you can do to help them get ready on time as well. So now you're out here as the group of students arrive. For the first group, you would meet them in front of the laundry as they come up the hill. For all other groups, it just makes sense to wait here while they come down from the Sunday school, because that would save a lot of time. So you introduce yourself, you remind them who lived in the Gibbons house, you ask them what chores have they done around the house for the last week or so. They love to give you everything they do. And then you tell them, well, today you're going to do laundry, but not the way you do it at home today. You don't have running water. You don't have electricity. You're going to use your muscle power to clean the laundry, and we have to fetch water to bring it back into the house. So what we're going to do is find a well. So everybody look around and show me where there may be a pipe coming out of the ground where we might get some water to bring in to do our laundry. So while we're out here fetching water, make sure you bring the students here to see the necessary to show them where they would have had to go to the bathroom back in those days. Okay, so now we're at the well. We see the spigot coming out. We're going to make sure that the students line up maybe about 5 feet away in the line. They can all watch me and make sure they don't get wet. I explained that now we got to fetch water for the laundry, good fresh water. We put some in. I explained to the students that if one child might try and carry this, they may trip or they may fall. So what they did is they used a carrying stick, and 2 students actually get to try and carry the water. You want them behind the stick, you want both hands on it, you want them and everybody else to follow you up nice and slow, and maybe at that point you can see if they remember the nursery rhyme Jack and Jill, and that gets them thinking why they're carrying the water. So it's critical that every student gets a chance to carry the bucket. So after one group moves it up to the hill, I would grab hold of it, they would leave, 2 others would come up, I make sure they have it balanced, and then we begin to walk a little bit further, and we repeat that as many times as we need to make sure every student has had a chance to carry the bucket. So we fetch the water, you bring the students right to the base of the stairs, make sure you're the one carrying the bucket up, and please reinforce the fact that they need to hang on to the railings as these steps are uneven. So you say, follow me, and we should all go up the stairs like this, and then take these other 2 steps as well into the shed of the Gibbons house. Okay, so now the students are in the shed. They're going to be looking around. Please make sure they don't touch anything. And you want to go over some of the components of what they're going to do today. So we point out that this is the wash tub. This is the washboard with soap that they're going to actually put on the sock that they're washing. This is the wringer to get rid of all the excess soap and water. And this would be your rinse water. You tell them that we have to add some of the fresh water to each tub that we just drew from the well. And then, as you know, that water is pretty cold. So we will show them how you're going to add some hot water to each of these tubs, as your wash machine would do at home. So now we're ready to do some laundry. So now we're going through the mechanics of actually washing the socks. So you reach up, you get your knife and your soap. You're the only one that's going to be able to shave the soap. And you show them how back in the days you would have to actually add soap by shaving it like that. The mechanics work pretty much like this. You take your sock that's dirty, you would get it wet, you bring it up on the washboard, you grab soap, and you cover the sock with soap, making sure that your knuckles are always pointing up so you don't scrape them. When you have enough soap on that, you put it through the wringer, again making sure that's turned down. As you wring it, make sure that all the children's hands are away from all these moving components. Then you need to rinse it to get the rest of the soap off. You rinse it, and it has to go back within the wringer. Again, I would begin this and then let the children take it from there. Now what to do is just taking off the regular water that came through after they rinsed it. It's going to be wet, and then they would bring it over, hanging up there, and then you instruct them to go and dry their hands to make sure their hands are nice and dry. Okay, so now you understand the mechanics of actually washing the sock. What is critical is to make sure that every student has a chance both to wash and rub it on the washboard and to use the wringer. That's very important. When they use the wringer, make sure that everyone is back away from them so they're not hitting anybody. Make sure the fingers are away from the wringer themselves, as you would be the one to feed in the sock. Now, many guides have different ways of showing the students how to do the washing. Some use 1 line, some use 2 lines, and it's up to your discretion to see what works best and what you have time to do. I many times would have 2 lines formed next to each other. I would have 2 students actually washing the sock. One student will move to the back, one student will move to the wringer. They will wring the sock through while this student catches it and hangs it up. These 2 will then switch positions. The one in the back would then use the wringer, and the one that was wringing would then catch the sock and put it up on the dryer. And that seems to save time if you're a little bit short of time to have 2 washing at the same time. So now that every student has had a chance to wash a sock, you may have time to do some other activities that the students always seem to enjoy. One is to show them how they would clean off their rugs at the end of the day. You would make them guess what this is. If they don't guess it quickly, you tell them it's a rug beater, and you demonstrate the fact that as there are no vacuum cleaners, they would actually have to come up and beat the rug like that to get the dust off. Make sure each one forms a line and very safely takes a swing at the rug. And of course, that's going to create dust. So another activity that they enjoy is sweeping the shed area. We have a bucket of brooms over here. Every student gets to take one. I do emphasize to make sure that they keep it up in the air so they don't hit anybody. And just let them go down and sweep everything as close to the door as they can. They may not do it, but they really do enjoy the activity. So if by some chance during the day that you find that your group time has been reduced, you can certainly cut out a lot of time by not going out to the pump and getting water, because you still have your bucket of water here. Bring them right into the shed, add the water, and then set up for them to do the washing. So let's talk about cleanup. First thing you would do is you take the washboard out, maybe dry it off a little bit, put it back in the clothes basket. The tubs you would carry out and empty them into the grass. What I like to do is give them a quick wipe, because then when you turn them over, they're pretty dry. I also like to dry this area of the wringer, because that does get wet and it is made of wood. So I just give that a quick dry as well. Make sure your soap goes back under the sink. Make sure the knife and the shaving soap also goes under the sink as well.